Hey tubers, got my Yamoto gy200 here. Just doing a little bit of an update. It's a little worse for the wear, but it's nothing that bothers me too much. It's a really good bike. I've been really happy with it. I'll throw out a few pointers for you if you ever get a bike like this. Really, any Chinese bike in general as well, but just a few things to point out to you guys. But yeah, like I was saying, it's a good bike. I really put it through its paces. You know, full throttle some of the times. You know, going dirt biking. I use it mainly for dirt biking right now because I don't have a license on it. But a few pointers for you guys. The teeth, the sprocket back here is quite large. This is I believe a 2005 Yamoto. But the teeth back here, there's quite a number of teeth, and the sprocket being as big as it is, it doesn't give you very high top speed. Top speed of this, winding it out pretty good, which you'd be uncomfortable holding it there for a extended amount of time. It's about 40 miles an hour, not very fast, but okay for dirt. So that's another reason why I'm using it for dirt right now. So if you can find another sprocket that matches, sorry, there's a mosquito trying to eat me. If you can find a sprocket that matches, I can't remember what number chain this is, but it's definitely worth it to drop at least 10 teeth, because first and second gear are so light anyways that they would pretty much have you covered. If you're gonna want to be heard, get a new horn. This is a Harley Davidson horn, actually. I picked it up for free. Works great, really nice and loud. The little Chinese horns that come on them are just really high pitched and nobody'd ever hear you. The clutch system is pretty good on this bike. This is an aftermarket clutch piece because somebody knocked my bike over and broke my clutch, like snapped it clear off, so I had to buy a whole new piece. It's only like $8, and I had to modify to get this piece to work because usually anything that, you know, a lot of universal pieces don't work on these bikes because it's a Chinese bike. Sometimes they just have different measurements, different ways of looking at things, but the way I modified it, so I took another little piece of, let's see if we can zoom in on it here a little bit, get it to focus. Yeah, that's a little bit better. But I took a little piece of steel, let me switch hands here, and I welded it up. This is the old plate. There's a circle and the spacer to match. And I welded it to another plate, drilled a hole through it and the spacer to match so it fits correctly, and just welded it up because I needed it. It made the cable about this much shorter, which has no problem with the actual overall function of the bike. The clutch works very well still. If the clutch gets really hard on these bikes, which mine has once or twice, it starts getting really hard to pull. You just pull the whole clutch cable off and drip oil into it. Just some 30 weight oil, something like that. Drip oil into it, and it lubricates the inside and it makes it easy to pull. So very easy to pull again. Brake fluid, make sure you change it out. Whether it's a used bike or a brand new bike, whether it's Yamoto or some other brand. Now you probably won't have this problem with, you know, Honda, Yamaha, so on and so forth, but you will have it with all Chinese bikes. I've had this with every single Chinese bike that I've ever worked on or anything. But The brake fluid that they put in these reservoirs is really crappy, and when you squeeze the brake, you'll notice it squeaks sometimes, and it doesn't want to work correctly. So I always flush the brake system out, and how you do that is it helps to have two people. You can do it with one person though. You open this up a little bit, squeeze it, close it, so on and so forth. If you guys need a video of how to do that, I can make one. But just bleed that whole system out. You can use .4 or .3 brake fluid. I use .4 because it's synthetic. On oils though, you definitely need to go with a good oil. I use a 10W40 and have phenomenal success with it. A lot of people will just put a 10W30, any oil, whatever, in it. But you definitely need to go specifics with this. It has a wet clutch for one thing. For another thing, it's an air-cooled. Air-cooled engines get a lot hotter and will actually break down that type of oil. It stops working after a little while and it dirties up really fast, and you're changing oil out a lot more often. What you need to get is the Castrol 4T motorcycle oil. It's made for wet clutch systems, and it's made to go to a much higher temperature and not break down. It's definitely worth the money. These aren't very high quart engines anyways. I think it's like one or 1.5 quart engines, and it's really easy to change the oil. You just pull the plug and so on and so forth. Let's see, other pointers I have. The blinker system isn't the greatest on this bike. These blinkers fall apart pretty easily. What I did, they really just kind of fall off sometimes. And I just put brand new bulbs in there without touching it with my hand so it wouldn't overheat. And I just super glued it up. You know, if it ever burns out, I'll just get a new bulb system. In the back, I've actually got Harley Davidson blinkers, nice and big, nice and visible, which is nice. It's always nice to be visible. Yeah, it might look a little funny, but I actually like the look of it. So, carburetor, another pointer. These come running really lean from the factory. Sorry, there's a semi-truck going by. They come running extremely lean from the factory, and you need to richen them up. Unless you're like sea level or something like that, you'd probably be all right. But I think my altitude's either 4,000 or 7,000, something like that. I can't remember exactly. Somewhere around there though. Kind of an average altitude. But I was running really lean. My engine would heat up overly hot because when you run lean, it runs much hotter. If you run rich, you run cooler, but it doesn't run well, like too rich. So I richened it up. The way you do that is you pull the slide out of the top. You pull it out. You take the throttle cable off of it, and there's a little needle that hangs off the round slide. You pull that out, and there's little slots in the top of the needle. The very bottom one is the richest. The very top one is the leanest. I went to the very bottom, and I'm still running just a smidge lean, but it's running much better. To richen it up even further, you need to get a new jet, which are cheap. I think they're like $8 on the expensive side of jets. And then you can jet it 1 or 2 sizes bigger, and then you can do the fine tuning with that needle. If it's running too rich, when you accelerate and you let off the throttle, it goes pop, 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 pop out of the exhaust system. That's when you know you're running too rich. Lean it up until you either get very little pops, like very small, like it decelerates for a little bit and then pops once or twice. That's probably almost perfect right there. If you go one more back though, it's probably absolutely perfect. Way you can check is if you look at your spark plug. That's another thing. Change the spark plugs. Get away from those spark plugs that are in the bikes because they burn out really easily. That you can be riding it and it just goes out for no reason, won't be dirty, won't be fouled out at all, they just go out. I've got an auto light platinum in here right now, platinum spark plug, or platinum tipped spark plug I should say, and it works great. A way to check your mixture, your fuel mixtures, run it, you know, a good 500 miles or so and check that mixture. I don't know if it's 500 or 100 or something like that, but you check the spark plug, and if it's kind of a light brown, like a lighter brown coffee, then it's usually your mix is dead on. If it's dark, then you're either too rich or burning oil. If it's white, then you're way too lean and you're gonna burn your engine up. If that's one thing with engines, is if you run them too lean, they get too hot and they burn themselves up. The pistons can't take the heat usually. So I think I covered just about everything. The battery system, all the wiring on these bikes are great. I don't think I've really had any issues with it. Yeah, I think I covered just about everything. Make sure your oil's topped off, and make sure when you fill your oil, you don't have it sitting over like this. You actually sit the bike upright. Set it as level as you can, and that's how you check your oil, and that's how you fill your oil. Because if it's sitting this way, it's going to be quite a lot more oil, too much oil in the system. Yeah, I hope that helps. If you have any more questions on these bikes, just ask away. I've worked on this. I've had this for 3 or 4 years now. So this is not the original headlight. This is an aftermarket headlight. Headlight that was on it was busted off and gone when I got it because it was wrecked. I got this rim. This rim was bent, and I purchased this rim from a YouTuber. I can't remember what his username was. Maybe he'll recognize that this is his rim and throw up a comment or something. I'll put him up in the video if he does. Give him a little bit of recognition. But yeah, they're fun bikes. They're good bikes. They're not a beginner's bike, because beginners don't know how to treat bikes too well usually. I'd say an intermediate bike or professional bike, not for professional riding by any means, but professional riders know how to take care of bikes, know what to look for and how it's supposed to sound. So hope that helps, YouTube. Hope I didn't talk too much. I think I covered just about everything and tried to stay away from the stories, because you guys hate it when I sit and blabber on about stories. So pretty sure I've covered just about everything. Yep. Well, I hope you have a good one, YouTube. Braking system's just great on these bikes too. Never had a problem with them. So I hope you have a good one, and I'll see you later, tubers. If you have any video requests on anything, just let me know. Shoot me a PM or a comment. See you later, tubers. Bye. One more quick little thing I thought I'd cover. A lot of people don't cover. Tires. These Chinese tires are okay. They're tires. They're rubber to put you on the ground. They're mainly street tires. They're of course a dual sport tire, but they're not the greatest for dirt. When you come in contact with sand, loose dirt, rocks, kind of any loose material, you got to kind of fight it, because it doesn't want to grab onto the material. It wants to skip over the top of it, which makes it kind of fishtail a little bit. Kind of want to skips over the top. But yeah, these aren't too bad of tires. I haven't had any issues with them. I've had issues with the tubes though. The tubes that these bikes come with are pretty much just junk. They really don't work at all. I wouldn't even go as far as putting gunk in them. But these are aftermarket tubes that are filled with gunk. They've got gunk in them, enough to plug up any holes, but not enough to where it's gonna, you know, make the balancing of the tires off. So yeah, any rubbers, things like that, like this, I need to replace these. Fuel line's okay. Definitely put fuel filter on it. Just keeps the fuel or the carburetor clean. So, and if your bike's not running correctly, pull that carburetor apart and just scour it. Just clean every little nook and cranny. Every little crook and granny. So, hope you have a good one, YouTube. Hope you enjoyed the video once again. See ya. Bye.